All right.
No pressure.
I am recording. No pressure.
Oh, boy.
Lots of pressure for you. No pressure for Starlotte. That's how I roll. Okay.
Well, then. Hey.
Oh, I'm going to count.
Oh,
I'm counting
I didn't know you were
in.
counting down.
Every time I do 5, 4, 3, like in Wayne's World.
Yeah.
You mentioned Garth. That's
It's,
what they did.
like I literally thought about this earlier.
It's my homage.
Are you
going
going to do this?
I do the
guys,
I do the Wayne's World thing.
I'm jumping
Ready?
the gun this time because my last one on the first cold open I did on the
Was
Castle
terrible.
episode was just like,
Yeah,
Hi,
it was
I'm
terrible.
Jeremy Hopkin, and
Oh, I always think I sound really monotone on camera.
Yeah, well, drink a Red Bull. She's already in the beer. Okay, and I can get you more, by the way. I have a lot of beer
I can
for
just
you.
crack another one if
You might have to. This is a movie we're making
I'm
here.
going to
Okay.
double fist on this. We're getting crazy. It's only 11 a.m.
I love this woman. Okay, Jeremy, you ready?
yes.
Recording in 5, 4, 3.
Hey, step right up. This is it. A history of burlesque in Toronto on the Toronto Mike podcast with me, Jeremy Hopkin, our special guest, Starlotte Satine.
What up, Mike?
Did you write that down?
I had to.
Could have memorized all those facts.
Oh my God. It's a tongue twister.
Special guest alert. Special guest alert. Welcome to episode 1876 of Toronto Mic'd, an award-winning podcast proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery. Order online at greatlakesbeer.com for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Visit palmapasta.com for more. Fusion Corp's own Nick Iones. He's the host of Building Toronto's Skyline and Mike and Nick, two podcasts that you ought to listen to. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, making his quarterly visit to talk about the history of burlesque and strip clubs in Toronto, he's the official Toronto historian of Toronto Mic'd, Jeremy Hopkin.
Hey,
Woo!
Mike.
I feel like that's where you pause for.
Yeah.
And we have somebody in the room applauding you right now.
Yeah.
Before you say a word, Jeremy,
Yes.
and then you're going to say lots of words, and I'm going to sit back and listen. Please introduce for the listenership the very special guest sitting to your left right now.
We're so lucky to have Starlotte Satine here. She's a force of nature, as recently described at one of her shows by some of the performers there. She just made this show happen, and it's incredible.
Welcome to Toronto Mic'd, Starlotte Satine.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I gotta say, like I said this to Jeremy. He upped the class in this basement. Like he wears. You see the suit he's wearing.
I know. He told
What do
me
you think of that outfit?
Jeremy's always the best dressed in the room, but like it was funny when we were walking in here, he was like, yeah, Mike was like, you have to wear the suit every time. So now it's just a thing, but
Do you feel pressure, Jeremy, to wear that suit every time you visit?
I do, because it just...
Because I'll kick you out if I see you in like sweats or something.
Because people see me on screen, they're like, oh, that's not Jeremy, and they go away.
I mean, I to be
And,
honest,
that too.
he came to one of my shows one time dressed in his Muggle clothes, and I didn't recognize him. So
That's a great way to say it.
Yep.
that's what we say all the time in the burlesque world. We're like, oh,
Yeah,
we're
I
just
think-
in our Muggle form today.
At Christy Pitts, you were dressed like a normie. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Give me J-Ho. I will say this to you, Starlet. I bumped into this man, this talented, wonderful man. I bumped into him in Kensington Market at Handlebar because you were at the Cam Gordon book launch.
Yes.
And you were dressed like this.
Yeah.
So I
had to
mean,
dress
that's
up for Cam.
Kensington Market. He's dressed up to the nines. But I got to say this, Starlet, you're dressed up too.
This is my casual look.
Okay, well, I don't
Starlotte
believe you.
No,
Starlotte has many looks, but you always know it's her.
It's either like homeless or very vintage glamour. There's no like in between, honestly.
And I know I made a joke earlier. I have low ceilings where you're sitting right now.
my
and
hair's almost too big.
Well, I say to everybody, watch your head. Check your head is the proper terminology. But you have high hair. Can you describe this hairdo?
I mean, it's not real.
Okay, well that's a mind blow right there. I honestly, so is there stuff in there?
No, it's just
What's going on
I
there?
got a lot of hair on a good day, but if I want to just do a fast look, I just toss this little topper on,
Nice.
and
So that's not real.
it's all an illusion,
Jeremy?
darling.
Did you think that was real?
I did.
Be honest
actually.
with me.
I really did. Yeah.
I
It
100% thought that that hair, and it's like a
So-
ball of hair on the top of your head or something.
Yeah.
So
When I
that's
was-
just like a piece you put on.
Yeah, it's more just like because as a showgirl, we spend so much time getting ready, and it's a very efficient way because you just plop this thing on and pin it, and it doesn't take so long to like curl it and do all these things. So most showgirls, actually are wearing fake hair, including the dancers from the Moulin Rouge. All of that's like fake ponytails that they swap on and off. There's no way we could do it otherwise. So
Are you wearing fake hair today, Jeremy?
No, I'm not. It's all my real hair still.
Okay, pull in his hair for me, please, Starlotte. I need to know. Is that real?
it's definitely real.
Lots of hairspray, so it doesn't feel real. But
So, Jeremy, I'll pass the mic to you. You are the official historian of the Toronto Mike
Okay.
podcast, and you wanted to. I almost said kick
Oh.
out the history. I'm not sure the
I
term.
do want to kick out the history, but I also didn't really describe everything that Starlotte does.
Yeah, I should
Should I
shut
tell
up.
you a
I just
little bit
wanted to
more?
talk about her hair for 20 minutes. Okay?
She is a producer. She produces these stage shows. She also is an artist, a model. She's also the dancer for Mark Malibu and the Wasagas. I see her often out there at car shows doing her thing. And when I think I'm having it bad, sweating away in a suit, she's up there on stage sweating away
Straight
in
cardio
the summertime.
in the sun on the pavement.
But she's a bit of a Swiss Army knife of a performer, and just
Ooh, I like
has
that.
so
Maybe
many
that's my new tagline.
so many talents under her belt.
I worked for a German software company for years. And these Germans I worked with were kind of crazy, okay? And there was this one guy, Detlef, right? So he was the lead crazy. And I remember one day he came to Toronto for a visit because I worked remotely from here. And we were having a walk, and he says, Michael, I guess I could do a German. I go, Michael, he goes, I know the Germans are crazy. He says, I think they're crazy too. He goes, and remember, Michael, I'm Swiss. Like, this was a huge differentiator that he was letting me know he's also not German, and he thinks the Germans are crazy because he's not German, he's Swiss. You said Swiss Army knife, and I thought I'd share my little. I just remember saying, remember, Michael, I'm Swiss. Thank you, Detlef.
Sweet.
All Detlefs are German, okay? I don't care if you were born in Switzerland.
Never heard that name before. That's,
Oh,
that's
Detlef is
crazy.
like a big German name.
Wow.
I've
Okay.
also never heard it before.
It's like Helmet and Wolfgang. These are names you don't encounter in any other culture.
Yeah.
There's no Irishman named Helmet.
Oh, that's true.
My first boyfriend actually was named that.
He
Helmet.
was German.
Yeah, he was German.
Had to be.
But he went by Manny for some reason. I don't know why.
Because they called him Helmet Head.
Yeah, probably. There's probably some serious reason why that was not the thing here.
All right, back to you, Jeremy. Enough
Yes,
of my
yes.
tangents. We're here to
Hey,
learn
no, right
about
on.
the history of burlesque and strip clubs in Toronto, and it sounds like you've delivered a grade A guest.
Starlotte is here to help me out with some of the more modern history and also the hands-on. So that's, yeah.
Okay.
We'll dive in.
And speaking of diving in, it's worth noting that Starlotte has already dove into a Great Lakes beer.
Oh,
Which one
right-
did you
right on.
crack? 'Cause
Well, I
you
cracked this
it-
one, but then I was like, when you guys told me I was supposed to crack it on camera, I was like, maybe I'm going to double fist
Well,
on this
Jeremy was
podcast.
supposed to advise you. We don't crack
Sorry.
beer on this
I
show
can
until we're
I'll-
recording.
I'll crack another.
Well, you
uh,
can drink both.
Yeah,
Well, here,
I'm a
I'll-
taste tester today.
Can I crack for both of us?
Yeah, so what are you drinking there, Jeremy? And then we'll
I'm
get back.
having one of the Sunnyside IPAs that we highlighted in the Sunnyside episode of Toronto.
Let me hear it on the mic.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Also, on April
Crisp.
Fool's Day,
Yes.
well, it was actually Friday when I did it, but I played Chalk Circle's April Fool, right?
Oh,
that
yeah.
video is filmed at the Sunnyside Pavilion.
Yes, yes. Amazing.
It's all amazing.
And it's
Okay,
a good song, too.
great song. Shout out to all the Chris Tates. All of them. Okay, so Jeremy, I'm going to play by play here quickly. We're going to dive into the history of burlesque and strip clubs in Toronto.
Right on.
But you're drinking the Sunnyside Session IPA. What are you drinking, Starlet?
I've got the premium light lager here, which looks amazing.
Yeah, the light lager is a popular choice. Enjoy.
Just slurp on the camera.
Do it.
Like, so tasty, so fresh.
What's that called? ASMR? What is
Yeah, yeah.
Could be another career for you if you're looking to diversify. So
is
I will
very light
send you
and
home.
summery. I love
Yeah, you're both choosing beers that are not particularly high in alcohol. So you will make it through this episode without slurring your
I
speech.
want to get some historical facts right.
Yes, just
And I
some.
just want to let Starlotte know, because she's now an FOTM, friend of Toronto Mike. I want to let Starlotte know that she will go home with some fresh craft beer from Great
Amazing.
Lakes Brewery.
Yay.
And do you enjoy Italian food?
Of course.
What?
That'd be a crazy question.
Has anyone ever said no to that? I'm trying to
Yeah.
think.
I don't think so,
And
no.
do you want to know the person? It's like asking someone, do you like music? And they're like, no, I don't really like music.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of my basement. That's what I'd say. So, Starlet, I have in my freezer upstairs a large frozen lasagna sent here by Palma Pasta. Palma Pasta makes delicious, authentic Italian food, and you're going to love that lasagna.
I can't wait. I didn't even know that this was going to be a thing, that I'd
Well,
be bringing home any
I
treasures at
know
all.
you're-
So
Jeremy
I'm
did
very
a piss
excited.
poor job of preparing you for this. Didn't tell her to crack it on the mic.
I like being
We have to
surprised.
have some surprises.
Yeah.
Okay, well, one last one, and then we're going to pass the mic for real.
Right on,
I
right
really
on.
will shut up until I get curious and ask questions. But Ridley Funeral Home, Brad Jones from Ridley Funeral Home is going to be here at 5 o'clock to record a fresh episode of his podcast, Life's Undertaking. But he sent over... So there's two varieties of this right now. Jeremy, I know you have a green one already. That is a
Yes.
measuring tape for you, Starlet.
Perfect.
I
need
can
this
only
in the vintage
imagine that
world. I
in
need
your-
these all the time.
Yeah, in your world, you have things you have to measure.
Even when I'm out thrifting, I don't have one that actually rolls into itself. So this is...
I love
I
the
get to
idea.
take this home with me?
You too.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Starlet's gonna
I'm
be
so
in a thrift
spoiled right
store.
now.
She'll be buying a dress, some vintage dress she's found or something.
Well, I buy a lot of dead people's clothing, so this is actually really ironic and fun to me.
Right
You
on.
know what? There might be a partnership. Ridley Funeral Home and Starlet
Well, there you go.
buying dead people's clothes.
Starlotte
take
Satine
it.
Vintage. That's another industry that Starlotte started up.
I'm a bit of a jack of all trades.
Okay, so during this episode where we learn about the history of burlesque and strip clubs, we will also learn about Starlet, because I also did a little homework and I learned there's more than meets the eye with
Oh my
Starlet
God, yes.
Satine. All right,
Right,
so
right.
let's go, Jeremy. We love these quarterly episodes.
All
It's
right,
always
man.
a pleasure to see you in your hat.
Thank you, sir. So we'll dive right into the history of burlesque in Toronto. Burlesque, like Starlet and I were talking about earlier a little bit, has a long history far before it gets to Toronto. It starts off in, they think, Greece, ancient Greece, and with satire. And people like a man named Aristophanes, who worked in Sapphire.
What's that man's name?
Aristophanes.
Oh, yeah, I knew an Aristophanes. Wasn't German.
He used satire, parody, wordplay in a lot of these plays that he had, and they all had sort of a risque humor to them. So that's sort of the beginning of burlesque, where you're making fun of the government, you're making fun of just situations that are happening, and it's kind of a comedy show of sorts. And eventually, the word burlesque actually comes sort of loaned from the French, derives from the Italian burlesco, which starts from the Italian burla, which is a joke, a ridicule, or mockery. So it starts off with a lot of humor and a lot of mockery, but then eventually burlesque changes over time and becomes what we know it today.
Interesting. I think that name you said, wasn't he at one point the Italian prime minister? Berscoloni? What did you say?
Aristophanes? No. Oh, no, you're talking about burlesque. Burlesco, yeah.
All right, so fascinating. Okay, burlesque. I didn't really consider the parody aspect, the mockery, as you said.
Yeah.
Not the
it's-
call and mockery, but the mockery.
Yeah, it very much starts with sort of the working class making fun of the upper class and also the government, and so it's a lot of like I guess it's like an old SCTV and SNL. You're making fun of different situations.
Well,
that
I
are
understand
happening
Lorne
currently.
Michaels started both.
Yeah, he did, and he had a hand in Kids in the Hall too.
That's for sure.
It's actually really interesting too, because a lot of people assume that burlesque nowadays is like the movie with Cher and Christina Aguilera, or it's like high glamour, like Dita Von Teese is like on the forefront of like being the queen of the burlesque
Yes.
scene, and she kind of brought it back from the underground. But there's still so much like variety in burlesque, and it can be whatever you want it to be. So I think that's what makes it like really special, because there is still a lot of satire, there's still a lot of political form, there's still a lot of different types of like themes that go into it. You have a lot of neo burlesque that happens, but then you can still see people touching into like the classic bump and grind glamour burlesque. So there's like an array of like different like pieces to it, and it's not just one little piece of the puzzle that you see on like a regular
For
day
sure.
to day.
I agree.
All right, pick it up, J-Ho, because not only are we going to learn the history of burlesque and strip clubs in Toronto, but it's very important to me at some point we do get the history of Starlotte.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Whenever you want to break away and do that,
Well,
we can't.
no, you lead the way here. You lead the way.
Okay, we're getting into a little more ancient history.
Okay.
In the 18th century,
Okay.
it makes its way 19th century, it makes its way over here to North America through the States around Boston area, and just spreads from there as transit improves and railroads are built. A circuit develops where all these theaters that are around North America are visited by burlesque companies, and they'll have a traveling show going to these different places.
Am I allowed to ask dumb questions along the way? Because I think if I have dumb questions, the listeners might
Yeah.
have similar. Okay, so
Makes
my
it
question
interesting.
is really, it's one you probably get a lot, but so at this time you're talking about like where's the line in terms of modesty laws? Like I always, burlesque, as far as I can tell, burlesque doesn't have actual nudity.
Yes, in certain places, on a rare occasion, it did, but here in Toronto, we'll touch on that even more about a lot of the strange laws and some of the laws that persisted.
Because I have seen video and I'll see like it'll be like a pasty with
Yes.
like a tassel, I want to call it, and it's like, oh, they're just covered, their areola. You can't see their areola.
We still do that today. Like there's still legality laws around like if a bar is selling alcohol and how much you can take off, and every province has like a different like rules and regulations that you have to kind of follow. And it, strip club regulations are really hard to like get around these days too. So like burlesque and stripping kind of come hand in hand. There's like an umbrella of things, so there's always going to like be that, and then there's also like the past history of how burlesque was and why that was like the kind of the OG stripping of back in the day and that kind of thing too.
But those pasties I saw, right, that are covering the areola,
Yes.
like how vital are they? Like if it's removed, now you've crossed a line where it's no longer burlesque. It's like some kind of a...
Yeah, you had like the
Yes.
topless, the dancers back in like the 60s and stuff. So like, I'm sure Jeremy has probably done a little bit of research into that. But even nowadays, like I could get in a lot of trouble if I'm, 'cause I dance on the bar top at Painted Lady on Ossington, and we are allowed to go down to like a G-string and pasties. But
Right.
anywhere past that, if a bylaw officer walked in, it could be like a complete catastrophe.
They could lose
and-
their like liquor license.
liquor
Yes.
license.
which is
There's
everything.
big fines that can be involved. I know back in I guess it would be around 10 years now, probably, maybe even a little bit longer. Some of the girls were, I think, in Hamilton. I don't want to get the facts wrong, so I'm not going to like touch too hard.
They're in
into
the
it, but
hammer.
They, I had a couple burlesque girlfriends of mine that were out doing a show, and just a crappy bylaw officer had walked in and gave them shit for it, and they actually ended up going to court and having to like fight this whole like thing. So it still happens to this day where, and it's rare that it does happen. Usually everything is especially where we are here in like Toronto and stuff, it's a little bit like not so conservative in that sense. But yeah, there is definitely points in our, even where I'm at nowadays, that we still fight for like, our rights to be even just like taking our clothes off in a space, even though we're not getting naked and stuff like that.
Okay, interesting. I'll try to keep the tangents to a minimal.
Hey,
I know
no
those are
worries.
famous words, but so we're still in ancient history, but we're gonna get it to Toronto.
Well, we're
soon.
getting into the 20th century now, and it came over from England and started becoming very popular over here as well. Also, at the same time, is this word that sort of gets batted around called vaudeville, and vaudeville is a little more of a they claim it's a cleaner version of burlesque. Burlesque is for the working man, the single guy that wants to have a good time, and vaudeville is the clean house where, we don't have swearing, we don't have drinking, we don't have a lot of the things. So it's the more conservative side of it. And so at that time, burlesque and vaudeville are kind of competing, but also a lot of the vaudeville performers who are fine and upstanding are also getting other stage names and sneaking into the vaudeville or into the burlesque houses and also performing under pseudonyms, and just to get more work because
Sure.
they need work, they need money. So
Makes sense.
a lot of that's happening, and a lot of eventual stars that we know today, that are a little bit of older stars, got their start off in vaudeville and also in burlesque, like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. All these guys, a lot of them had burlesque or vaudeville families.
Like maybe George Burns? Was it
Yes,
Burns and
George
Allen?
Burns
Would that
too.
be like a vaudeville act?
Yeah,
or-
George Burns, Milton Berle came up here as a
I heard
vaudeville.
he's hung like a horse.
He's hung like a horse, yeah. And he used to be at the Elgin and Winter Garden all the time. And when they restored the Elgin and Winter Garden, he actually came back and visited and made a lot of press about trying to get this place revitalized.
Okay. They nicknamed him the Trouser Snake.
Or the tripod, I forget. I don't know.
Working blue
Trouser
today.
Snake.
This is, I'm going to put a trigger warning. At
Got
the
some blue laws, yeah.
Try to be
Okay,
tame
so
about it.
it's funny how it all the North American gateway seems to be Boston. Why am I not surprised?
I don't know, because it's a harbor city. It's attracting a lot of things from overseas, and that's one of the first places it'll touch down. So
Okay,
there you go.
all right.
I feel like New Orleans too
Yes.
was very much in that realm. My boyfriend actually was just on a trip in New Orleans, and he was sending me all sorts of like the history of like the working girls from back in those days and
Oh,
stuff.
for
And
sure.
they were all being like imported from like France and stuff.
Well, they know how to have a good time in New Orleans.
Definitely. And that's another place where, yes, for sure.
Yeah,
they
the
would.
French influence would make
Yes.
sense.
Yeah.
There was the Louisiana Purchase.
Yeah.
Napoleon.
Definitely.
I
One of the
know.
last vestiges of French people where they were able to stay.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and Acadia. Cajun and Acadia have like the same root, and that's why you have that French colony in New Brunswick.
With the semi-Creole, I guess, up there too as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Okay, we're learning a lot today, right? Starlette's learning too.
I am actually.
Well, J-Ho, what I like, I mean, I'm supposed to sit back and listen, but I'm so engaged. I find this history fascinating. We haven't even really got to Toronto yet.
Oh, yeah. It's just sort of touching on how it gets here, I guess. So, let's see here. I do have a couple notes just to keep me in
You
track.
didn't memorize this? Do you think I'm going to have notes at the El Macombo?
I think you might.
And
I
soon
don't
we
know.
will talk about the El Macombo because our guest is performing at the El Macombo.
I do that a few times here and there.
Okay, but you have an upcoming date.
Yes, but it's a totally different, not vintage theme, but
What is it?
it's emo at the Elmo, so it's all different, like early new. It's still vintage technically, I guess, but yeah, early 2000s like nostalgia.
You're going way
We're
back.
going way back. We went from like the 1930s, and then we jumped straight back up into the 2000s.
What date is this happening?
October 2nd?
Oh, October 2nd.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We are talking about doing the Oddfellows Cabaret again, but that'll be a later date.
Is that the video I watched, Jeremy?
Mm-hmm.
One of the videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I watched
Oddfellows
the
are
whole
the Oddfellows are the band behind them playing the whole time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Back to you, Mr. J-Ho.
Okay, no,
We're jumping.
no problem. So a lot of the vaudeville and burlesque, we were talking about them competing, and they're also doing that here in Toronto. There's a few theaters like the Casino Theatre on Queen Street. It opened up in the 1930s as a vaudeville theater. There was also the Broadway Theater. I'm just going to name drop a few theaters. And
Let's remember some theaters. Nostalgia, eh?
yeah, exactly.
Do you know when these theaters disappeared? Do you have that intel? Or?
I do have that intel. It's going to come up.
Oh, it's gonna
I've
come
got
up
it a
later.
little chronological order.
I'm eager. I'm chomping at the bit here.
Let's see. Eventually, let's see. You have the Casino and also the Lux. And the Lux was one of the major ones where a lot of the burlesque performers would come.
Where was the Lux?
It was on College, very close to, you know where there's that fire hall there that has a very tall tower? West of Spadina?
Yeah, well, I do bike college a lot, so
Okay.
I just have to think of that town.
I forget the name of the street there. It's I do have it in my notes here somewhere, but originally that theater was called something else, but it's been torn down since then. But it was on College, just west of Spadina, not too far.
Okay.
So another thing I wanted to talk about was we were saying before how a lot of these stars come out of vaudeville and go into the silent screen at the beginning, and then movies take over, and eventually vaudeville fades because a lot of the stars that were in vaudeville that did well have now migrated into motion pictures, and the ones eventually when the talkies come along who actually couldn't speak very well, a lot of them got pushed by the wayside as well.
It sounds like you're saying video killed the vaudeville star.
Yes, it did. And then you have radio coming along, and it also pushes a lot of those stars away. And then it's just a progression of the way that these artists are working. And some can adapt, like you were saying before, George Burns and Gracie Allen. They just keep rolling with the punches, and
Say goodnight, Gracie.
they go from radio to TV with no problem at all. But then, a lot of stars couldn't make the transition. But you'll see a lot of that with even in some of the movies that you watch where they talk about that.
Interesting.
So in Toronto here we have burlesque and vaudeville. Vaudeville starting to die out, but somehow burlesque just keeps holding on. It fades away, but it's never quite gone. And in 1941, this theater called the Strand Theater on Spadina, it's probably one of the main theaters, and it's originally a Yiddish language theater on Spadina because that whole area was a Jewish area for a number of years when it was the garment district. So they opened this theater to entertain a lot of the Yiddish-speaking people. Eventually, they move on, and in 1941, this becomes the Victory Burlesque Theater, and it's at Spadina and Dundas. So the mayor actually reopens the theater as the Victory during that time as sort of a motivator to get people to get out and go to these venues.
Who was the mayor at that time? Do you know?
I think it was Conboy, Mayor Conboy. And it was big news in the newspapers.
Okay.
So a lot of the burlesque performers, it's probably one of the best known in Toronto.
So vaudeville fades away.
Oh yeah,
burlesque.
Sorry.
No, I'm just revisiting that point because my guttural instinct there is that working dudes like to look at ladies.
There's that. Yeah, there's quite a bit of that. So
like that's not going to fade away.
During
that
the war,
it will never fade away.
No.
Honestly.
During the war, well, the thing is, with the burlesque, it wasn't. It was just like Starlotte was saying. It's a mix. It's still a mix of everything. It's not just the ladies. There's also people doing funny things like back in the early days when you would have some performers. I don't know. Have you watched the movie, the Peter Jackson movie, the King Kong version, or the version that he did?
You know what? Jack Black's in this, right?
Yes.
Okay, I definitely tried to watch it, and I found it very long and slow, and I did not complete that task.
Well, if you ever see that, at the very beginning of that, there's this good rendition of Fay Wray's character just going through burlesque and showing you what burlesque and vaudeville was like back in the day, where you'd have one character who was he's good at sneezing. And that was his whole stage act. He'd just come up and do this funny sneeze.
Coincidentally, that's my Thelma Combo performance. I'm going to sneeze for 90 minutes.
And then there'd be somebody up that would be good at acrobatics or like a dancing duo. And it was sort of an early variety show where you could see a lot of these things. And burlesque still held on to a lot of those things depending on where you went or what venue you went to.
But I can see guys there like, okay, this sneezing is great. Can we get to the ladies?
Yes. And then that's when in Toronto during the 70s, you have a lot of strip clubs opening up where it's strictly just strip.
Yeah, we're going to cut out the bullshit, and you don't have to sit through this guy sneezing to get to the women. We're just going to give you the women.
Yeah, so that's where, because vaudeville wasn't around anymore for the families, it wasn't there to support those actors. A lot of them fell by the wayside, and then, you have the competition now between strip clubs and burlesque. But by the 1950s, a lot of people start to get nostalgia for that art form and that they remember from when they were kids. So you have people sort of pining away for the good old days or those days where they tried to sneak into the burlesque house back in the day. And
like the Maison Derriere. When Bart, right?
Yeah.
They were all trying to sneak in there.
Exactly,
I
yeah.
hope someone got that reference. Charlotte's like, do I know the Maison Derriere?
It's Simpsons, I assume.
I like the scene where Abe walks in and then walks out when he sees his grandson, like that scene where he just sort of revolves out. He's like, he takes off his hat, puts it on, gets out.
Makes a beeline for the door, yep.
Great episode.
Here is the, I brought a few cards this time, like I used to back in the day.
Well, I'm going to make sure it's on camera. Yeah,
okay.
So now, that's beautiful.
Here's,
what are we looking at here, J-Ho? So I will tell the listeners, though, who are like walking their dog or biking or working out or whatever, I am recording video. Am I? Yes, I am. So you can not only can you see this, what I now found out is a fake piece of hair on top of Starlotte, which is the mind blow of the day. That hat's not fake, is it?
No, it's very real.
Good. Okay. But you can also see photos that J-Ho is holding right now. So what are we looking at here, Jeremy?
This is the Victory Burlesque on Spadina at Dundas. And it's still there today, but it's just sort of being poorly used as a commercial building, and also there's a pharmacy on the main floor.
That feels very classic Toronto to me.
Yeah.
Let me guess. It's a Shoppers Drug Mart.
No.
No, it's a Rexall, I think.
Okay, well, that was my second guess.
Basically the same thing.
So apparently the theater still exists inside this structure, and around 2015, the person who ran this nightclub in there called the Boa Nightclub. He was intending on restoring this just before the pandemic hit, and I think those plans fell through. But apparently, he signed a 10-year lease back then. So, who or 10 or 20? So apparently, he's still in there. Maybe he will try to do it one day.
Observation, Mr. Hopkins.
Yes.
So even in this photo you're holding, which is when's that from? The 50s?
This is from 1972.
72. Okay. If there's a goal that
Yeah.
everyone remembers, it was back, 72. But even then, there's a pharmacy that's a pharmacy. What is that called? Shapiro's?
Yeah,
Shapiro's Drugs.
A lot of these theaters were built with two little shops in the front, so sometimes you'd have a concession or a diner or something like that, or something associated with the theater.
And performing, I see, is Pussy Willow.
Yes.
How many burlesque dancers are named Pussy Willow?
I don't think I've met anybody named Pussy Willow, but I feel like there's a lot of variety of strange names you'll see in the industry.
I'll bet. Okay. And for the record, your name Starlotte is your real name.
Is my real name.
Because that's a mind blow
Don't tell
too.
anybody that. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine.
Oh,
I was born with a
minute.
good stripper name. What can I say?
Yeah, well, you had no choice. You were named Starlet.
I
You
was
could either
born
be
for
a
this.
burlesque dancer or a stripper,
Yeah.
or both. It's up
That
to
was
you.
my life aspirations when I was 9. So
Okay, wait. I can't wait for. We're gonna finish this because this is the history. So you have to eat your vegetables before you get to dessert.
Right on. Okay.
So learn up, everybody, and then we'll find out more of Starlet's history.
And here's a little photo from the exit at the Victory Burlesque where someone is talking with one of the dancers.
Oh, yeah. And is he
Back
making
in the
eye
day.
contact?
It looks like he might be, but it's hard to tell.
It's inconclusive, but we will point out for those who can't see that those I mentioned earlier the what are the proper name for the tassels and the
just nipple tassels or pasties.
okay pasties, right?
Yeah.
So this woman is wearing the pasties.
Yes, yes.
and the tassels on the pasties. Okay.
So by law, you have to
Yeah,
wear.
This is a dumb question too, but do they deem nudity that we can see areola?
Apparently.
Like if you
Yeah.
cover your
It's a big
areola,
deal.
like the whole breast could be exposed, but if we cover that areola, this is not nudity.
Doesn't count. And it's
So
crazy
bizarre.
because we do
It
have a
is.
lot of men in burlesque. It's called boylesque, which is a thing. And we strongly encourage the men to wear pasties too, in solidarity with women not being able to show their areola on.
Yeah, right. Because in public,
real world.
they got rid of the law that women can't be topless because men
Oh, did
could.
they get rid of that?
Yeah, like in the 90s.
They did.
Gwen
yes.
Jacobs maybe was big. There was absolutely they decided okay, women can now be topless.
Yeah, and not a
in
lot
public.
of people. Not a lot of people went for it though. They
You
wonder
sound
why.
disappointed, Jeremy.
they just didn't want to. I'm like,
It's a
really?
little. I mean, because it's a dangerous thing out there being a woman in the world. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, things can fly around, and yeah.
But they have the right. They have the right. But we're not talking public property here.
Yes.
Here we're talking about these are private institutions, I guess.
Well,
Like there's a different bylaw. at play.
Toronto has been very conservative for years with bylaws and blue laws that they would call them, where you really couldn't do a lot of that. But yeah, that I think that did get repealed a few.
Yeah, no,
when
and
you're talking
I remember
about-
this.
yeah.
I think the name's Gwen Jacobs. Like I can Google
Yeah.
it later, but I remember the case and the decision that because it wasn't fair. It was sexist because a man could be topless in public and a woman couldn't be. So it's just I find this fact that if we just cover in this example of that woman at the Victory, what was it called?
Yeah, that was the Victory
Victory.
Burlesque. Yes.
Yeah, like as long as we cover the areola, you're not topless.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to a point. I guess they're thinking of erogenous zones. Those are the areas where they wanted to cover up. So, men couldn't go pantsless, women couldn't go topless because that's a sexual nature part of the body, I guess. So
What I love about the nipple tassels are that they somehow took the coverage and the censorship and made it into something that was kind of fun, which goes back to burlesque being like a satire or like a fun thing or a funny thing or like comedy because we tassels twirl all the time.
And
with
you can
those,
twirl the
and,
tassels,
yeah,
as
and
I saw in the
that's what I
video.
do every weekend. I'm a
Yeah.
I'm a professional tassel twirler, which
Yes.
is
You got to get them
crazy
in sync.
job, but yeah,
not
there's
as
like
easy as
so
it
many
looks.
different ways to tassel twirl, and it can be really silly and fun, and it's just like, and there's like a strategy and a strategic way of spinning tassels, but it's actually really fun, and it just is a way that people made that censorship into something that was like entertaining.
Oh, good point.
So a lot of the reports that I did find on people being caught by bylaw, as far as like the Victory and a few other places, a lot of times the owners of the businesses were fired, but the strippers themselves, a lot of times the judges just throw out the charges because, and in Canada, we were fairly lenient with that sort of thing because a lot of the policemen and a lot of the enforcement agents were probably going to those shows and really they were like, really? Oh,
you were working there. That's the Mayor Quimby. You were working there.
yeah.
The women back in those days made a ton of money. Like I know
Oh, wow.
in like the 50s and 60s, especially a lot of those women were very high paid. And so some of that censorship some people will argue is that, those women were getting paid so well that they didn't want them to have that independence, right? So
right.
there's some of that too. Like it turns into like, well, we can't have these women be empowered in their own financial security. Like they need to, follow the masses and stuff. So that was a lot of it too, I think.
That's so sad too, because after World War I and World War II, there's the return to work for a lot of the women that took over the jobs that the men did, and they did it just as well or better. And I could see that happening, just what you're saying, where they're trying to push that back down again, and let's return to how things were before. And yeah.
Well, they got rid of a league of their own after World War II. They got rid of a league of their own.
Yep.
We're only starting up another one now.
A really great documentary for anybody that's listening and watching is Carol Ladoda, Topless at the Condor. It's not, I don't think it's Canadian based, or maybe it is, but it bases off of Carol Doda, who was one of the like first topless dancers that was like really famous. And there's a plethora of history and like them talking about the plastic surgery that those girls were doing back then, the clubs that they danced in, how much money they were making, the celebrities that they were like sleeping with and like going around with and stuff like that. It's a really cool documentary, and it's full of history.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Full of history. It's a really good documentary. We got to do the opening for the premiere for the movie, and we actually got to go myself and a few friends of mine got to perform at Silver City in the cinema, and then we got to actually go out tassels and everything. Wow. And like it felt illegal. It felt illegal to be taking your clothes off in a cinema like that, but yeah.
Okay, another
really
dumb question. What's affixing? What exactly affixes the pasty to your breasts?
It is a double-sided stick tape, so like a fashion tape. Some people use carpet tape, which is really intense, or you can use a spirit gum. There's all sorts of different ways, but I have a wig tape. It's a toupee tape technically that I use that is like really hard to find, and only one person in the city sells it. And I feel like I'm doing a drug deal every time I have to buy it. I literally have to message her and be like, "I'm running low. Can you get me this?"
That's funny.
Yeah, it's actually you can get it from like Shoppers Drug Mart and stuff, but that stuff doesn't work if you're like a real professional.
Well, you're moving around, right? And,
and you're sweating.
I'm guessing
too,
you're trying to avoid malfunctions.
Yeah,
wardrobe
that does
malfunctions.
happen sometimes,
Just
especially if
hope
it's hot.
Just hoping no nosy bylaw officers not there when it happens.
It has happened. Like you'll lose a tassel and you're like, "Oops, you gotta cover up." Like, oh
boy.
But you learn how to work around it. You just get really crafty at coverage and being.
I love the fact that there's one vendor for this special tape she needs
in Toronto specifically.
But you know what, you're on the verge of like when Elaine Bennis deemed guys sponge worthy, right? She bought up all the sponges. You couldn't buy them anymore. So are you sponge worthy or not? It's going to be like, is this tape worthy?
You gotta message Tanya Cheeks. She's like, I'm name dropping her, but she's one of the original like burlesque performers who actually brought burlesque back here in Toronto from the underground. She back in like the early 90s and stuff. She's like really punk rock, and shout out to Pussy Whip Wednesdays. It's one of the longest running like grungy, like glitter and grime bar shows that's happened. And it's been over 11 years now that they've been doing it. But Tanya Cheeks is the one who was taught how to fire tassel. She actually lights her boobs on fire and tassel twirls with fire.
Sounds dangerous. I gotta check the fire code.
Satan's Angel actually taught her how to do it. So there's actually like a rich history of burlesque here in the city, and Tanya is one of the people that was on the forefront of bringing it back from the underground.
Tanya Cheeks.
Yeah.
And that's also her real name, Cheeks.
Probably, yeah.
Probably not. Okay, Jeremy, pick it up here. Reminder to you that I have a song.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you tell me when it's appropriate. I figured when we hit like 1950 something,
Yeah,
that it
well,
might be.
we are in the 50s now.
All right, so let me do this. I didn't even finish this thought earlier with the shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. So Jeremy, you also have a measuring tape, but it's also got a bottle opener there and it's got a flashlight. And if Starlotte is looking at it with stars in her eyes, I could probably score you one as well. I think you're worthy of one, so I'm going to get you one. But that's a new one because I know you have so many of them.
I've been waiting to get this. I've seen
you know what?
Cam and Tyler had one earlier, and I was just like, wow, that thing's cool.
Well, you know what? Now, as I say this out loud, I realize Brad Jones would want Starlotte. So you have to pull out this thing so that you have to pull out. No, where is it? This plastic thing. You pull it out, and that makes the flashlight work.
Okay.
So that way the battery doesn't run down. So Jeho, that's for you.
Thank you, sir.
And I want to just
what does this thing do?
Well, one of them is a level.
Okay.
Well, there's a level.
Oh, there's the tape. Oh,
there's a measuring tape. There's a flashlight, and there's a bottle opener. Everything. See, she's blind.
Oh no,
she's blinded herself by the light.
I can't see. Wow, I felt like I was. That's like a full spotlight.
You can listen to Life's Undertaking from Brad Jones, but I just wanted to tell everybody that Nick Iones has a great podcast called Building Toronto Skyline, and we just did a live recording in front of enthusiastic Brad Bradford supporters. I was there. I felt like I was an embedded journalist. I have Ed Keenan over here at 2 p.m. today. I feel like this is relevant, because the official campaigning doesn't start till May 1st. But nobody has said they're running for mayor yet, except Brad Bradford. Even Olivia has not officially said she's running for mayor. I think Starlotte should run for mayor of Toronto.
Oh, God.
yeah.
Have you considered it? What does it cost, Jeremy? Do you know what it costs to get on the ballot? It can't be that expensive.
I haven't looked into it yet. I'm sorry.
Maybe we'll do a GoFundMe, pay for you to be on the ballot, and just to get you in the debates.
If I were mayor, everybody'd be allowed to be naked and there'd be no censorship. But
Okay.
Right on.
that's my campaign.
Well, we're already allowed to be topless. So
that 1 month in Canada where we can be outside.
Yeah, we don't have freezing. Maybe this isn't the best strategy.
That week in
This is
July.
why I'm not mayor. This is why I'm not in politics.
So recyclemyelectronics.ca, that's where you go if you have old electronics, old cables, old devices. You don't throw that in the garbage. Those chemicals will end up in our landfill, and that's no good. You go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your postal code, and find out where you can drop off your cables, your electronics, your devices. And that's what you're going to do. Back to you, Jeho. I know you got more images there. You tell me. You just say, I'm ready for the jam, and then I'll play it.
Okay, right on. Well, before we get to the 50s, I should mention this lady today. This is an ad from the Elgin and Winter Garden Theatre, back when it had a movie theater on the main floor and vaudeville on the upstairs. So they're showing a Mary Pickford movie through the back door here, and you can see there's also a high-class vaudeville program as well. Not burlesque, because it's high class.
I didn't even know that the blue collar were into the burlesque and the upper crust were into the vaudeville.
Yeah, and I think over time it kept changing. So that's what made it really hard to research, because it was like, okay, is it burlesque? Is it vaudeville? Is it just performance? Is it, because it kept evolving and changing over the years, and some would borrow from each other, and so it was very close to being like each other. But it's actually Mary Pickford's birthday today. So
and Mary Pickford
that's why I brought her today.
Is Canadian, right?
And she's Canadian. She was called America's Sweetheart, very big star of the silent film era, and also a very liberated woman who goes on to found famous players with Charlie Chaplin and Douglas Fairbanks, and she just becomes a powerhouse in the movie world down in the States. But every once in a while, she came back to Toronto to visit her old home on University Avenue, which is right where Sick Kids is today. And she donated that land eventually and raised some funds, and they have a memorial to her on that spot today, because that's her childhood home was there.
I just learned something new there too.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Mary Pickford. I know this name.
Thought I'd mention her today, and this was a nice tie into the burlesque and vaudeville.
I want to hear so I see a lot of these old posters. Typically they're for concerts. This is a movie called Through the Back Door.
Yes.
Sounds like it could be a porno film. I'm just saying.
No, I think about it, it does. This is from 1921.
Well, that's my mild pet peeve is a lot of these posters, you'll find them. We have a whole episode of Toronto Mic'd about old posters, rock and roll. What was it? Vinyl. What's it called again? The Vault. The
Vinyl Vault?
What's the name of that book that Daniel Tate and Rob Bowman put out?
That is the Flyer Vault.
Flyer Vault.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
That word flyer would not appear in my head. But they always have This one says entire week of May 23. So you always get the date, but you never get the year because they purposely don't put the year on there. I guess they don't want to have it date. I mean, but it would be so nice for historical purposes if somewhere they said May 23, I don't know, 19. What did you say? 21? What did
1921, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of times the way you can identify it, though, is by the manufacturer at the bottom. Sometimes you can catch it through that, but...
Oh, what is this, the Antique Roadshow?
Yeah, it can be if you want.
This marking in the corner tells me. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
that's why you're here, buddy.
And by that font, they weren't using that font until 23. And yeah, you could find that out.
Okay, fascinating.
So I don't know if you've seen it, but on the back of the Elgin and Winter Garden, they've recently restored a wall painting that was there from the 1930s. And if you go around the back on Victoria, I think it's Victoria Street, you can see they've restored it, and it's really cool how this thing that would normally have just faded and been lost to time, they brought it back. And they're doing some really great work there, and it would be really cool to see your show there one day. I hope you get on that stage.
I've never been in that place, but like I've seen so much, and it's one of like the last standing like double-decker theaters, right?
Yes, it's the only Edwardian double-decker theater in the world.
Yeah.
It's a National Historic Site.
Like I hope they never get rid of that. It's so beautiful in there.
That must be designated a historical building.
It is, and the Ontario Heritage Trust runs it. They have a few sites around, and that's one of their main sites that they keep going. And
probably costs $1 million trillion to rent it out.
It probably does.
I can't imagine.
Well,
like,
maybe
that
my
would be cheap.
benefactor will rent it out, and I'll do a dual show. It'll be my one-man show, and we'll have Starlotte.
Are you going to
here.
burp on camera? Or sneeze on camera or
Sneeze
whatever?
on
It's
camera?
sneezing. It was sneezing. That's
You said
the show.
burp on camera.
I'm getting mixed up with another performer in Toronto.
Howard
that does
Stern,
that.
he burps on camera, doesn't he? But I had a guest who did burp on the mic when they were on their Toronto mic debut. And months later, I got an email from this guest politely asking me to remove the episode because he doesn't think it makes him look at his best, that he was in this like persona.
Because he was chugging beer.
And I was thinking, so my thoughts were, okay, so you were sober when you recorded, you knew exactly where you were and what was happening, but also it was like 90 minutes of unedited content. Like I think that just shows you.
Yeah, it's
like
real.
that's
It's
you,
human.
bro. You
I
know
just
what I mean?
blinded myself with a flashlight. I'm sure.
No,
That's not cute.
And again, we're gonna do Jeho's history, and then we're gonna get Starlette's history.
Right on.
And I want to just ask you, Jeremy, before you continue the photos there and
Yes,
ask
sir.
for this song. We were originally going to do this live at the Alma Combo. Was that ever the plan, or it was just talk?
It's a busy place over there.
There was a plan, but yeah, it's a very busy place. And at one point, I was trying to get in contact with the person who was trying to restore that theater that I was telling you about, the Victory Burlesque. And I didn't get in contact with him, but that would have been really cool to film in an abandoned theater.
Or even at the Winter Garden, maybe. Like I feel like
yeah.
we were trying to do all these episodes because we did the Casa Loma one, which
Yeah, the Casa Loma one, I loved it that it was on site. And this year, my goal was to try to do a lot more on site with you and get out there. And I do have some planned that are going well for the end of the year. So
okay, I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Keep your fingers
here.
crossed for that.
Because this is actually your, even though we're in the second quarter, this is your first quarter appearance.
It is, yes.
It's early April here.
Because of my finagling and trying to arrange all these things and also trying to get into a few places like Old City Hall, which didn't really pan out in the end.
But maybe you're asking permission when maybe we should just show up with the gear, plug in, and go just go guerrilla style.
We could on
But
the
that is a lot more fun. And if we got kicked out, that would be the best thing that could happen to us.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Like
I'll
the
try to do
Beatles
that.
on the roof, when the cops tried to shut them down. That's the highlight.
Because I have actually been kicked out of places before like that. I tried to film a music video once at in the church chapel of a cemetery, and we did really well. Got a whole video filmed and everything, and then eventually we got kicked out. And then I got very stern phone calls from the cemetery saying you're making a mockery of our cemetery and this and that. And I'm like, no, we weren't making fun of anybody. This is actually, it was very much the setting of this somber video. And no, they didn't like that. So the video kind of got trashed.
They need permits. Like
Yes.
they want you to pay for like a permit to film and like all that stuff too. Like a lot of even, in Europe, it's completely different, the rules. But here it's like you have to pay like $200 to ask for permission to shoot somewhere.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah.
if we
I had
were-
to buy a permit to do wedding photos at the distillery district.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
Crazy.
I've done gorilla photos at the distillery district before and didn't pay for it.
We're
but-
gonna put this because I don't want to waste any more Starlette's time, but I do think there's something to, hey, this place, let's say the distillery district. If we can find an outlet that we can plug into, if I can plug this board into the outlet, we could just Biker, get there,
Okay.
set up, record, and then just plead ignorance when they come. I don't know, they call the cops, will be like, oh, I'm sorry, we were just trying to celebrate this wonderful piece of Toronto
We have
history.
proof of evidence here.
Right on. Right on.
We're sorry we're here drinking our Great Lakes beer, okay? We thought that was legal too.
Yeah, Old City Hall wanted to charge me $1,500.
No,
and-
we're not. No, that's. I'm going to just say it right now.
I know.
The spirit of this show is we're not paying a penny
Yeah.
to record. We'll either do it because Casa Loma opened their doors to us and they're
Oh,
sweethearts.
they were great. They were so nice.
Oh, thank you to Midtown Gord for putting in a word. Just kidding. Or we're just going to go guerrilla style and do it, man.
Okay,
And that's
okay.
going to be part of the story. And if we did 5 minutes and then we had to shut it down, that's part of the story.
You could set up like one of those pirate radio stations on your bike. Or like we can get a
Oh,
tandem
I guess I
bike
need
or
a
something, and we
battery.
can
I
go
guess I need a
around
battery
and
for this.
Get
yeah.
batteries and stuff so we can do a live stream.
Okay, we'll talk
Okay.
more offline. Okay, back to the wonderful photos you've collected.
Okay.
here.
Right on. So through the 40s, we have the golden age of striptease here through burlesque and people reminiscing. And the reminiscing becomes even more after people come back from the war. So in the 1950s, if you could play that clip eventually, or that one clip there, this is sort of people reminiscing about that time period when burlesque and
Hey, step right up. This is
Is,
it, a real
in
spicy
their childhood.
burly show. Step right up, no wait for seats. The show is just about to start. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
This recording is dedicated to the vanishing art of burlesque. This album of burlesque nostalgia is a tribute to the branch of show business that discovered such stars as Fanny Bryce, Bert Lahr, Abbott and Costello, Sophie Tucker, Bill Silvers, Red Buttons, Jackie Gleason, and many others.
Okay, big names.
yeah.
And now, step back with us in time and relive the memories, the laughter, and the pleasures of a visit to a burlesque show.
So this is kind of a recreation of what they thought it was back in the day. So
And is this recording from 1955 or is it made to?
yeah, this is from 1955, but they're kind of reminiscing how things were around 1910, 1915. So every
Okay.
once in a while you hear like an old time horn.
Well, I recognize Brian McFarlane's voice, so that all makes sense. That all adds up.
I really went to see the funny men in the baggy pants. Gosh, how they made me laugh. Well, I guess I gotta admit a little bit that those nice, pretty girls helped me to forget some of the cares and problems I had down at the
There you
office.
go. In just
Gosh,
the crux of it
really
all is
glad
that
you come
exact right
along
there.
tonight.
Those pretty girls help me
it's
forget the
almost
problems of the
8:30.
world.
Show will be
Yeah,
starting
yeah.
any
A
minute
lot of these
now.
guys are coming back from World War II, shell-shocked, and to come back home to some of the nice things, including women, and having a show like this could keep their minds off of things like that.
And those names that were dropped earlier. Well, let me hear.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to sit up front. I don't hear so well. Oh, they're getting ready to start.
Very good, and I like we got the pops in there from the vinyl.
Ooh, it's getting really poppy.
They all sound like Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, they do. Kind of like the Pee-wee's Playhouse intro.
Well, yeah, exactly, Cyndi Lauper. Come in, put yourself down a chair. Very good, Jeremy Hopkin.
So let's give us sort of an insight into what they were reminiscing about in the 50s and why burlesque all of a sudden makes a huge comeback towards the end of the 50s and into the 1960s, to the point where there's a few documentaries, like there's sort of a loose documentary based on what it had become called Strip-O-Rama that came out in 1953, to the point where even in, if you see here on the camera, in 1954, the CNE even has on their midway a striporama. So there's, the kids could go and wonder what was going on in there as well.
Those
Just
are
like
my
their
favorite,
just like their fathers had.
Toronto history, like photos of burlesque is all of the striporama on the CNEs, like photos, and like there's so many pictures of the girls.
I
and
don't
all
understand.
The young kids, like wow.
Yeah, and they're all like looking straight up.
But if we were so Puritan, this Protestant ideal, the Blue Monday laws and all, but blue laws or whatever, Blue Monday's that's a New Order song, okay? But how does that correlate to the fact that you're at the CNE, which is a very family, kids and your families there, and you can go in and see the striporama? Like, how can we be so cool?
I am very surprised it was allowed.
You sure that's not AI slop? You got vintage Toronto.
This is not AI
Facebook?
slop. No, this is not from the fake vintage.
His blood
Toronto
is boiling. Okay,
but yeah, it didn't last very long.
Is that woman wearing an Apple Watch? Hold on, let me see here.
Nope, no.
Okay, very cool. May I see this one?
Yeah, you can see that one.
Okay. Please continue. I'll listen while I check out. This is wild that at the CNE. And here, there I am. I was working there. You see, Starlotte, young Mike is there. Okay.
Mike actually was on the midway for a couple of years in the CNE.
3 years.
Oh, 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
89, 90, and 91, I believe, are the 3 years I was there.
So this show was going to last. It was very popular, but apparently it was very expensive to run, so it didn't really last that long.
Story
on
of
the
our
CNE.
lives, even to nowadays, nothing's changed.
Scandalous. Okay, this is great. These photos you brought.
Yeah, that photo I got from
That's
the
from
CNE
54.
From the CNE archives when I worked there. I was looking up a lot of old stuff and saw this, and it was the 50th anniversary of this, so it was 2004 when I got the photo. And was trying to find stuff from 54.
So next time they tell you Toronto was a stuffy place in the 50s, just say, okay, kids were going to striporama at the CNE.
Well, you see, it was still very stuffy in certain areas, and it was a fight when people came back from World War II. They had a lot more easygoing thoughts about life, and they wanted to be less conservative, and they did clash a lot. So slowly over time, laws get pulled back, including the laws to do things on Sunday in Toronto, because it wasn't until like the late 19th century that you could even ride a streetcar on Sunday. And then I think here I got sports. You weren't allowed to have Sunday sports until 1950, and performances on Sundays and concerts weren't allowed until 1961. So there is still a lot of pushback, and eventually things get chipped away. The conservatism falls, and you have things like the very first burlesque on Sunday, which is this lady here, Cupcake Cassidy. She was born in...
Also her birth name.
I'm not sure. Born in New Jersey, so maybe. And she was the first one to perform here at the Lux Theater on College Street on Sunday, and it was big news because everyone was like, oh my God, we're having a burlesque performance on a Sunday? Like, that's ridiculous in Toronto. So, yeah.
We used to do Sinful Sundays at Cherry Cola's too, so I guess that tradition had stuck around for a long time. And we still do some. I mean, Cherry Cola's doesn't exist anymore in Toronto, but there's still Sunday burlesque, so at least that stuck around.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah.
So you have a lot of things appearing in the press about the explosion, about how everything is just crazy with burlesque again in the 1960s.
That byline. It reads, let me see it.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Toronto has the monopoly on striptease theaters.
Yes.
Can you elaborate?
Toronto had a number of them where a lot of even older movie theaters that were smaller were converted over to burlesque theaters, and the most popular out of all of them was the Victory Burlesque on University. So yeah, it's taking over again. People
you're telling me you couldn't see this in Montreal, for example? I always thought that was the cooler city that would be like ahead of us.
I'm sure you could, but at this little slice of time, it is the most popular.
Oh, monopoly is a big word, so okay, very good.
And the last image I have here is another group that's at the Lux Theater. Just some of the performers on a ladder, and I use this for the little promo that I did for this episode,
which was great, by the way.
Thank you.
You always do a good job.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so maybe bring us. So how far up will this history go? Will it bring us to the 90s, for example?
It can, which maybe Starlotte will be taking over a little bit.
Yeah,
point,
maybe we'll bring us up to. We'll pass the baton, and then you and I will chat up Starlotte and find out more about her life and times and what she's up to.
So, as we were talking about before, the 70s come along and gentlemen's clubs and strip clubs come along because there are a lot of impatient people that didn't want to see all the other stuff and all that other cool stuff that
Get to the fireworks factory.
Yeah, get to the fireworks. And it kind of took another hit where it just kind of went into the less popular areas where I'm sure some of the people in burlesque would eventually, if they were fine with having full nudity, would go into strip club work and that sort of thing. So,
well, may I ask, Starlotte, was there a moral boundary? Like, would a typical burlesque dancer be, I don't know, offended or somehow like feel that stripping naked is beneath them? Like, what was the thought from a burlesque dancer on strippers?
Well, I feel like, coming from like a modern point, I've been doing burlesque now for, I guess, 14 years-ish, something like that. I'm aging myself. But when I first started doing burlesque, there was a lot of talk on like, well, at least we're not real strippers, which nowadays you don't say that because, first of all, burlesque is the real-time stripping from back in the day, right? And like I said before, the umbrella of like sex work and censorship and laws and everything, like it's just a different type of taking your clothes off, but we still get paid to take our clothes off, but it is very different. So anytime someone's like, well, at least you're not a real stripper, I always correct people and say like, no, like, because to be honest, a lot of actual girls who work in the strip industry are burlesque performers. It's their creative outlet. It's like an extra form of income. And then other girls will, everybody teeters and like has like done it or not everybody, but there's definitely like a piece of people that, go in and dabble in both of the industries and stuff. So I don't think that there's like too much. Probably I would say if you don't do, or you shouldn't do burlesque if you are against strippers, like that, because it's very much like tied under the same umbrella.
Yeah, well, one, it's just your music is Motley Crue, and
you can have Motley Crue and burlesque. I've danced a little bit of that, so it depends,
I just think that music I did pull a song here, and it's just a little bit of like something I pulled when I knew you were coming over here, but like it's Sarah Vaughan.
Whatever Lola wants, Lola gets.
Okay, but my brain doesn't think of burlesque and like, I don't know, Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard. Mm-hmm. Like to me, Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard is what you'll hear at a strip club.
Mm-hmm. There's a mixture of different, like I said, different styles of burlesque, right? Like a lot of the times burlesque is heavily themed, or it has like different types of like entertainment value in it. So it depends on like what you're going to see and what kind of show you're going to watch. Like if you're going to a classic burlesque show, yeah, you're going to get that kind of like old school style bump and grind music. But there is like so many different styles that you can watch and see. So I think that's like the misconception of a lot of people in like the modern world see it, and they, like I said, assume it's like the Christina Aguilera Cher movie burlesque, and like we've had even in audiences points where people will come to a burlesque show thinking they're going to get like a heels cabaret dance, and then we end up like taking our clothes off and everybody's like, whoa, like they're just like completely like caught off guard, which is
like,
kind of fun.
I brought my grandmother to this show.
But you know what, the grandmas love it.
I bet
actually they love it more than like some of the younger crowds do. And that's the thing too, a lot of people ask me are like, what, like it's mostly just guys watching your show, right? I'm like, no, actually, like it's an array of all sorts of people from different walks of life, different like genders, different ages. Like it's it makes it just fun because it's never boring and there's never just like a specific style of person that's coming to watch a burlesque show.
Okay, we're gonna get J-Ho's. You're gonna take us home, and then we're gonna change to all Starlotte the rest of the way.
Well, sadly, it's the end of the burlesque era. Really, when it in the 70s, it just peters out.
Tell that to Starlotte.
Sort of the end of that of that high burlesque era in the 60s, and the 70s it tapers off and it kind of goes into hiding again. But there's still people doing it here and there.
Can I make an assumption? I watched a great series on HBO many years ago called The Deuce. And it's really like a glimpse at what Times Square in New York was like before the cleanup, before the character clean, all the polishing and Disneyfication of it all. Like, and I really like the series, but I would guess that when you start getting porno movies in theaters, that might take a chunk out of the burlesque audience.
Oh, for sure. Yes, that would also definitely take that. And some of those theaters were converted into that type of theater as well, porno theaters, including there was one, I forget the name of it now, but it's along Bloor West that and I think you were at a film premiere at it recently, but
Paradise?
The Paradise, yeah. For a long time, that was a porno house, and it...
Yeah, I was just there for Nash the Slash Rises Again.
And it was revitalized a few years ago, and it's beautiful.
I'm there
now.
on Saturday because I'm going to see people who are in the Ken Finkelman, including Ken. Ken Finkelman's The Newsroom are going to do a West End Phoenix event, and I've been trying to get Ken Finkelman on Toronto Mike for a very long time. So I'm gonna like bum rush the stage, tackle him, and basically just grab him by the collar, say, "Ken, you're coming into the basement."
Yeah. Well, good luck, man. I hope you do.
What I'm doing, I don't need luck. Okay,
you can do it.
But this is This is before the era where everybody had a VCR in their house.
Yes, in the 1970s, and some adaptations happen. Like you find out there's some places that are trying to adapt to this, and along Yonge Street, you could actually get your shoes polished by a nude woman in the 1970s towards the end there. And I don't know how they got around the laws, but they sort of found a loophole.
Inside?
Inside, there's like a row of guys with a row of naked
But were they doing the pasties,
ladies.
tassels thing?
No pasties. It was very strange. So it's weird how some of these laws happen, but they found a loophole, but eventually that was squished as well. But then you also have
See, the thing is because I mean this whole Puritan garbage, like consenting adults, you can't get your shoes shined by a topless woman in this city. Like, where is the freedom in that?
And as the years go by, the bylaws got stricter and stricter, and even now, there's still you find with a lot of these strip houses that are closing down, they can't open up again because when they talk about opening up again, the bylaw in the area doesn't allow clubs where you can do that within a certain yardage of housing or public areas and
or schools.
Well, it's still like that today.
It's like that.
That's why it's almost impossible for new strip clubs to open because they make it so hard.
So at first I thought it was because they were denying the licenses, but it's mainly because of zoning bylaws. Mm-hmm. And it's insane. Like the Fillmore's just recently closed. I saw
was just thinking about that.
The painted Paige was
Turner.
there for the end. Paige Turner.
She's been a stripper at Fillmore's since for at least 20 years.
Oh my God! Wow.
She's like one of the OG Fillmore's girls.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So they're talking about reopening somewhere in Toronto, and
it's really hard.
They're talking about it now. Like, well, where are you going to go?
That's interesting.
Apparently, the only place that they could really do something like that was the CNE because it was a big open space of land. But that's getting very rare in Toronto now. So
also Ford's going to take that over, and
who knows? Yeah, you could.
To be discussed with Ed Keenan at 2:00. You want to stick around, Starlight? It's going to get really heated in here at 2 p.m.
Yeah, his Macho Man impression. You got to hear it.
I love it.
Okay. May we dive into the life and times of Starlotte?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to I want you to finish. I don't want you to bring any material and not deliver it. And I found all this very interesting.
The final thing I just wanted to say was, but then you get towards the 2000s, and then there's another strong revival of burlesque. And that's, I guess,
that's a good segue.
That's where Starlotte comes in because she knows a lot more about it than I do. But there's a few things in Toronto that are established around that time that are still going today, like the Burlesque Festival every year at the end of the year. And there's a few. There's even one Canadian burlesque lady that's still around that area that is like a veteran and like a legend now. And I forget her name now, but I'll remember it.
When it comes to you, spit it out.
It is.
I know that like in the early 2000s, like I was mentioning, like Tanya Cheeks was one of those people. There was a burlesque troupe, and I think it was like 2008 that really brought back. It was Skin Tight Out of Sight, and that was like a troupe that came back and started doing shows, and that was kind of like one of the revival like groups that kind of brought it into the forefront again. Like Dita Von Teese, after she married Marilyn Manson, she was one of the people that really like brought it back. And people started like paying it more attention, and that kind of gave everybody an excuse to kind of be interested in it again, and then make it a little more mainstream. And then like movies like the Burlesque movie and stuff came back. So, that modern mainstream pop culture of stuff is like kind of what's like had brought it, I think, into like the forefront again. And now, I mean, it never really went away, right? Like there's always going to be something of some sort happening, and drag is also like very tied into burlesque and stuff like that as well. So there's all sorts of like things like that. But yeah, and it's just, I think it'll be something that lasts forever as long as we try for it.
A rich part of our city's history. And I'm glad we're exploring it here. So thank you, J-Ho, for the idea and for the great guest. But can we go back? Do you mind, Starlotte, if we go back to Sudbury, Ontario?
Sure.
Have you ever been to Sudbury, Ontario?
I lived there for like 15 years, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going back there because you're more than just a burlesque performer. Like I was reading about your clothing shop, and maybe tell us a little bit about, I guess this is vintage, but just tell us a little bit about your life and times in Sudbury and your decision to move here to the Big Smoke.
Right. So I'm American originally. I grew up in Nevada.
Get out of my basement.
That was
Jerry, you didn't tell me.
Sorry.
You never told me.
Listen,
I was trying to keep it under wraps.
pre-times before it was terrible.
Also, you can't.
I'm basically Canadian now.
You have no control over where you're born.
I was 14.
Like you didn't choose to be born in America.
Excuses.
I've been here forever. Yes, but that's kind of like where the rich history of like where the burlesque thing kind of started for me, because my mom was a keno runner in the casinos of Nevada. Like I grew up in Nevada. So
okay, now the name Starlotte makes more sense to me.
Probably, yeah.
Connected to Nevada. Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it started. My mom was American. My stepdad's a Canadian miner. They moved me to Sudbury, and which was amazing because where I'm from is very hick American, and there would have been no way in any lifetime if I stayed there that I would have had the opportunities in the arts industry. So moving to Sudbury was amazing because I actually got to go to an arts high school and experience like a lot of like dance and visual art and thing, which it was always something I was interested in, but I didn't have that like networking. And so then eventually I went to college and I was doing animation, and I dropped out to become a burlesque performer because Sudbury Burlesque existed. And Sudbury Burlesque is actually one of the biggest burlesque troupes in Canada now. It's very underrated. Nobody, unless you know, but otherwise it's like...
Well, now everybody knows.
Everybody knows. But yeah, it's a really high-end production, and the people running it are really professional and really fun, and it's very creative, and it's really well done in that
But what
sense.
drew you to, and I have a sense because you've dropped some clues along the way. I've been picking up these breadcrumbs, but you're fairly young, I guess. You're kind of just out of college, it sounds like, and you're going to be, like, I think your goal is to work at Nelvana.
No, I mean, I was always interested in like burlesque and vintage and stuff, and when I discovered it, I was like, I have to do this, and so I don't know.
you were eyeing a career in animation, or did I mishear? Yeah,
and it's funny because there was one day I was at like a music festival in Sudbury, and there was this like Romanian hot dog stand man. This is like so random, and he was like, are you one of the performers? I was like, no, I'm just here to watch a friend. And he was like, well, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm taking animation. And he's like, no, you're not meant to be a basement dweller. Those were his words. And I remember it stuck with me because I was like, I do want to be on a stage. And at the time, the timing was that Sudbury Burlesque had just created its first like couple shows, and they were doing open auditions. And so I ended up auditioning. And the burlesque world led me to the movie industry, and I worked in the movie industry for a while doing wardrobe, and that led me into vintage by chance, and I was always interested in that. So that's where everything kind of snowballed into where I'm at now. So
yeah, those are some missing links there. Did you work on any films we've heard of?
I worked on Letterkenny for a really long time.
That's huge. Yeah. We have a good FOTM, Al Grego, who's got the like go-to, it's called the produce stand.
Yeah.
It's all about Letterkenny.
Yeah. I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard of it.
You should be a guest on it.
No, that'd be amazing.
We should get...
I mean, I was only a background coordinator for wardrobe, but I know all the people, and I've been in, like, I know all the Shoresy people and all those, that crowd too. So, yeah, it was a really fun time in my life, and those people are actually what brought
show. I'm
me
like, did you do anything we've heard of? And she drops Letterkenny.
Well, I worked from second season all the way up until about 2018, and then I moved to Toronto, and, I started my business, my vintage clothing store, and that really took me away from from any sort of movie industry work that I could have done. So
Okay, so that's amazing. You opened your own. This is like a brick and mortar shop, right? So you just, and by the way, quick question, we'll get back to the vintage. I need to know this vintage story and then get you to Toronto. But if your name was Sarah instead of Starlotte, are you still dancing with the Sudbury Burlesque?
if I was Sarah,
Yeah, you're Sarah.
absolutely.
Everything's
and my
the
name
same,
would, and I would have
except
a,
your
I would
name
have
is
a
Sarah.
stage name. I would have a different stage name.
Okay, I just
probably.
wonder, like,
Yeah.
what role your name Starlotte plays as a young person. You would be, I think, you might be even drawn to performance of this nature simply because of your name.
Yeah, I mean, it was never really all I ever heard my whole
J-Ho
life
thinks
was,
it's a good point.
Yeah, it is.
all my life I heard was, oh, your parents must have been hippies, which was not the case. And my name origination came from me being named after a racehorse, which is not that exciting, actually.
Better than a greyhound.
Yeah, it could be that. But I guess, like, you know, I don't know. I never really tied into really.
But
anything
I
that
find that you
doing.
notice how some people seem to, like, you know, the good example is Tom Hanks had these two kids with a woman, Colin Hanks, and what's the other Hanks name? We got to Google this one. It's going to kill me. But one, I'm going to Google this because the name is what they became. Like a Colin Hanks became a Colin. And here, we're doing a quick Google search in real time. My goodness. Okay. The name I'm searching for desperately is Chet. Okay, so you got Colin Hanks and you have Chet Hanks, and Chet became a Chet, like he's a Chet, and Colin became a Colin, but you know Colin didn't become a Chet, and Chet didn't become a Colin. Like, it is an interesting thought on what role your name plays in where you go in your life.
Well, it's interesting for me because as like Starlotte Satine became my burlesque name. Like, my last name is obviously not Satine, but that came from the Moulin Rouge. I was always obsessed with that, and then from that point, I decided, you know, when I was opening my vintage business, I was like, what could I name my store? I went through so many different names. And really what it came down to is because everybody in Sudbury already had known me as Starlotte Satine, and that was kind of my brand. It was the easiest way is just, I'm just going to name it Starlotte Satine Vintage. And that was kind of what I stuck with. So now my whole, my persona, my real name, everything has been stuck in like the Starlotte Satine realm, which is great because it's a brand, but it keeps the pressure on me to not screw up my business, you know, because then your name is tarnished.
So tell us more about the business. Like, you opened this brick and mortar clothing shop in Sudbury. Vintage, right? Like, tell us a little bit about opening it because you were still in your 20s. Like, you're young to be opening your own business.
When I was opening it. I competed in basically Sudbury's version of Shark Tank. They had this really amazing initiative called the
You
Win
say
This
Dragon's
Space.
Den on this program. What an American.
Well, Shark Tank, I don't know, Dragon's Den. I'm not much of a reality TV gal, but anyways, it was basically that. So it was called Win This Space, and it was an initiative to help bring young entrepreneurs into the downtown core because a lot of times as like an independent artist, you can't really, you know, get in to the business world because you don't have the money and the funds. And so I ended up competing in the Win This Space contest. I won. It was the second round, which was amazing because I actually won like $49,000 worth of startup costs for my business, which included rent and intranet and accounting.
Why not 50? They said we can only do 49.
I know, 49. It came down to what was in the package of, because there was all these different things that was sponsored by these different businesses and everything. So I won that, and I was the first person to sell vintage in the city after 10 years. So they hadn't had a single vintage store in the city, and that was partially why I wanted to do it, because as somebody who was really interested in like vintage glamour and burlesque and things, I was always trying to find clothing, and I couldn't find it unless you were going to like Value Village or something, and that sucked because it wasn't really great. And it all just like very felt kismet to me because I ended up meeting people that introduced me to other people, and then that kind of spiraled, and I started off doing like pop-up sales in my house, like my little tiny one, like bachelor apartment. I'd have like my burlesque friends come over. I met this lady from Sault Ste. Marie who trusted me, which is crazy because she didn't know me from like anybody. She just was like, yeah, I'm just going to bring you a van of clothes and you can just sell it from your house and you're going to take 25% cut. And it was like not much at the time, but I was like, yeah, sign me up. Like, I'll do anything to get my hands on vintage in the city.
Right.
And so we started doing pop-up sales in my house, and then those turned into me doing pop-up sales in my friend's bar because I knew somebody that had a bar, and then those had like lineups around the block. And so then we decided, okay, we're going to do fashion shows, and I'm going to start doing bigger events. And then those spiraled, and I was collaborating with Sudbury Burlesque, which was really big and it still is big, but at the time it was like really taken off. And those things had just like brought me into that. And so when I was ready to like apply for that Win This Space contest, I had all this backing of why it would be like a viable option. But then when we opened the store, COVID hit. Like I had 1 year of business and I had all these like things happen. My landlord claimed bankruptcy, like all these bad things were happening. And so like the business itself was so successful, but then all of these things were like everything that had nothing to do with me had everything to do with me. I ended up having to close the store, not because I wasn't successful, but because of all of the external factors.
COVID messed up a lot of great business plans.
I was already like coming back and forth to Toronto.
J-Ho knows. Look at the pain in that man's eye.
I lost 2 jobs because of COVID. Like,
well, there was a big.
It was horrible.
VP will tell you we had a very interesting big deal in play at a couple of places at TMDS when COVID hit. So I feel your pain, brother.
We all do, you know?
So this is devastating for a bricks and mortar vintage shop.
The timing was just
COVID-19.
horrible though for that.
So what do you do?
I was actually kind of in a sense relieved because what I wasn't expecting when I opened my business was how much I was going to be glued to it and that I couldn't leave and I didn't have the freedom anymore to like explore other options. And as somebody who's like always multi-functioning in different art forms, it was really hard to like I was having to like sacrifice a lot. And so like I think there was like a little low key piece of me that was actually pretty thankful because at the time I was seeing somebody here in Toronto and so I was coming back and forth a lot during the pandemic and that was getting too much. And so
that's a long way, Sudbury.
It was a long time. Yeah, a lot of Northland bus trips back and forth. And
you must have been a hell of a guy.
Yeah, well, you know, but
there's
fine.
There's the real
there's a
time.
Backstory. But it's really nothing actually. But you know, eventually I had jumped ship and I had dropped my lease and then I moved to Toronto on a whim because a friend of mine was moving and so she was like she said you have 2 days to figure out if you're coming to Toronto or else I'm giving the apartment to someone else and it was just too good of a deal to pass up and I was like okay I guess I'm just going to drop my world and just move to Toronto and I could justify it for my career because I knew that when I got here that you know there was going to be a point where I was, you know, there's so many more opportunities and I kept getting asked to come to Toronto to do things, but I kept having to say no because Sudbury was so far. Like it's still 4 hours. It's not that bad, but I don't drive. So it was always like the task of like figuring out how I was going to get here. Yeah. And actually moving to Toronto is probably, even though it was really hard because I moved literally in like the second wave of the pandemic, like right in 2020 when everything was really intense. It was really hard when I first moved here, but now that everything's good, like best decision I've ever made for my career.
No regrets.
Yeah. I felt like I was like a big fish in a small pond in Sudbury, whereas here I was able to grow a lot more as like a person and as an artist. And there was no way in time that I could have become a full-time burlesque performer in Sudbury because we only do like 2 big shows a year. And so those shows aren't happening constantly. So at least here in Toronto, there's like so many opportunities for me to be a full-time showgirl.
I did another Google. Okay. And I'm going to ask Jeremy Hopkin a trivia question. We'll see how close he gets.
Oh boy.
In 2023, what do you think the population of Greater Sudbury was? So I guess this would be the equivalent to the GTA, so the Greater Sudbury
I don't
area.
even know the answer to that.
Well,
so.
so there's no wrong answers. We're all guessing here, but I find this interesting. What do you think the population of the Greater Sudbury area was?
Not very good with populations, especially if it's not Toronto.
Okay, well,
but I don't know, 150,000.
See, I think that's a good guess.
Is that a good guess?
I wouldn't have got nothing.
So
and I lived there.
It's 100. It's about 180,000.
Oh my god!
But there's a big,
that's a good guess.
It's the Greater Sudbury area, so there's all these like sub towns on the side, you know, like Lively and Chelmsford, and that's still considered Sudbury.
But just for some like perspective, like if the Jays play a 4-game series at the Dome, right? You know the more, I mean, some of them are the same people, so it's not really a fair comparison. But my point is, Toronto, the GTA of Toronto, what's that, like 7 million or something like that? Like, so it's 180,000 is a small fraction of the population you have here. There should be way more opportunities here. Like it makes sense that you would come to Canada's largest city at some point.
Eventually, it was coming inevitable. Even though I at the time said I'd never live in Toronto, it just made sense that when it ended up happening, it was like, okay, it's the right decision.
I follow Starlotte online, and she's always busy doing shows like all the time.
There was a point where I was performing 3 to 5 times a week.
And I've also seen the bruises too. Every once in a while, you post your leg bruises, and it's just oh my god!
You fall? What's going on here?
we're just beating ourselves up. We're throwing ourselves around on stage. You know, like it's a physical demanding job, especially as a bar top dancer.
Well, maybe this is a good time for you to tell us some of the things you do. Like you say you're very, very busy, but just give us a sense of like, what are some things you're up to?
Well, I have a lot of like resident gigs. So as a full-time performer, I have where I dance, like, for example, every Saturday on the bar top at Painted Lady. And then we have a lot of restaurant, like roving dinner show gigs, like My House in the Junction. That's a bar. Etoile, which is a speakeasy on King Street, like things, kind of bars like that. And those are like sometimes like weekly shows or monthly shows. And then you have, corporate gigs and random things that are booking you for, entertainment purposes. And then I also tour with a surf rock band called the Wasegas, Mark Malibu and the Wasegas. And I'll be on tour actually coming up April 30th. We fly out to France, and we're doing Spain and the Netherlands and the UK.
That's a real tour.
Yeah, it's a real tour, and it's really cool because I get to be like a 60s surf rock go-go dancer and like do all these really cool festivals and gigs and things.
Mark Malibu is like a punk vet in Toronto, right? Like
they're
he goes way
the
back.
original surf punks. They're actually, the Wasegas started in 1979 when those guys were in high school, and him and Steve are actually the original members, and then they've replaced a few over the years, but they took a bit of a hiatus for a brief time, and then they came back. And
well, I have in the calendar, because he just wrote a new book, I have Don Piles coming over again to promote his book and to talk about some more things. He's Shadowy Men on a Shadowy Planet, Toronto punk surf punk band, if you will. I'll ask him about this band and get some more info on this. It's cool that you get to tour with
Mark in his bio on the in one of the bios, Mark Malibu mentions the Shadowy Men. They were he sort of predated the Shadowy Men.
You should talk to Mark. He's got so much.
That would be an amazing interview.
Knowledge,
no, you had me at hello.
Yeah, you would love him. He actually lives near here.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
He's in Etobicoke.
I'm going to tell Keenan we're canceling your 2:00.
Call Mark up. He'll come.
The Wasegas. I love it. Okay, so you have an active, busy performing life,
and then
a wide variety of
producing
things.
Into things too.
Okay, tell us about that.
That's something I said I would never do when I moved to Toronto, because it's just the city has a lot going on, and I didn't want to like step on any toes and
step
whatever.
on our toes. We love it.
But it came down to recently when I met the Oddfellows Orchestra. They're like this amazing like pre-war era cabaret noir band. I met them by chance. They had reached out to me, and I decided, okay, I have to do this big. And so I've always had like the production style event planning under my belt, but I wanted to do something really big because Toronto has a lot of small burlesque shows that are happening. The only big show that happens here in the city right now is the Toronto Burlesque Festival, which is amazing, and they're doing a really great job with it. But I wanted to bring my twist into it and bring that like old school kind of bump and grind glamour into the world of, like bring people back on like a time traveling adventure, which has always been my specialty when I'm planning events and things. So we decided to do that at the El Macombo. So now that's a huge chunk of what I'm doing. I actually don't even have time to sell vintage anymore, really, because my showgirl life has taken over between touring,
the life of a showgirl,
producing. And,
I think Taylor Swift sang about that.
Well, that was a movie with Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, which was very good.
Life of a Showgirl is also Taylor Swift too. Now she has that album that just came out, and she's her own type of showgirl. That was a whole political.
Life of a showgirl.
A lot of the burlesque performers were not happy when that album came out because they were like, she doesn't know anything about being a showgirl.
I was wondering about that. Yeah,
but like honestly, I think she's personally her own type of showgirl. She's doing some of the biggest tours and like biggest shows. So I don't know. She has some credentials, but she's just not like in that realm, So that's my own tangent for the moment.
What did you think of the movie with Pam Anderson?
I thought it was great. Like I felt like the story was slightly lackluster. I felt like it kind of ended on like a like not a cliffhanger, but it just was like, I wish there was a little more. But otherwise, like the beauty of like the costumes and all of that is really nice.
But there was a sadness to it. Like there was a tinge of sadness.
I think we all have a little of that in our showgirl life. It's like a lot of behind the scenes. I'm always fascinated by the behind the scenes of showgirls because there's a lot that. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors and things you don't see from behind the scenes.
Well, that's what we want to see. Like that's, you keep saying these things you won't do, and then you do them.
And then I do them. I do.
It's like I'm never going to move to Toronto.
True.
Check. I'm never going to produce.
Maybe I feel like maybe that's one of my life lessons.
Never say never.
Never say never, because it does.
Just do the opposite.
But I think you could play a role where you peel back the curtain. I don't know if this will ruin the, but I think we'd all love to see and know about this behind the scenes.
I do a lot of Instagram lives and stuff where I'm
Okay,
getting
what's your
ready and
Instagram
stuff.
handle?
Starlotte Satine or Starlotte Satine Vintage, depending on which one you're trying to find. If you're wanting the vintage, like clothing side of it, Starlotte Satine Vintage.
Well, do I look like I want the vintage side? Although
you want the burlesque side.
I
Just
want
look at my Starlotte Satine name. You'll find
J-Ho wants the vintage side. Look at how
I
that
do,
man
I do.
dresses.
He gets a
over
little
here.
bold. He follows both accounts.
He can toe that line. I don't know if I can get away with the vintage side, but it's funny. Earlier you made the remark about you want dead people's clothes, and I can imagine the best thing for you, not that you have time for that world anymore, but like is an really old person who saved all their clothes dies, and then the family's like,
I wish
take this.
I wish they were my size, because it's very hard to find men's
Men's stuff
vintage
is
clothing.
hard,
It's
yes.
impossible.
It's
Either
because men wear
they
their
wore it
things
out,
until they're garbage.
either they wore it out or they're buried with it.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
it's kind of hard to dig up.
It's crazy as like I always say that I'm a temporary treasure keeper of people's things, because it's a bit of an honor when someone comes to you with their loved ones' items and says, hey, I really I don't want to just send this to Valley Village. I don't want this to just go into like a landfill or whatever.
You're a good custodian.
Yeah,
you find a good home.
I usher these things into a place where they're loved, and that's really special for the families. And actually, when I first started selling vintage, I didn't realize how much I'd be dealing with death and grief and things. I became a bit of like a therapist of some sorts in some ways, because people would bring me stuff all the time to buy, and I mentally didn't prepare myself for that. And that was something that like as a new business owner, I had to learn how to balance burnout of, because people were coming to me saying, this is my mom's things. And I'd go, okay, I'm going to buy them. And then I'd look up as I'm writing a receipt, and someone would be crying over my cash desk. And I'd be like, right. People
You're
are
dealing
so
with a lot.
sentimental to their thing, because that's like a final goodbye to their loved one. And so, to me, it's always been an absolute honor. As much as I joke about buying dead people's things, it's an honor for me to actually be able to pass those pieces along to people that will cherish them and stuff. So
You're showing evidence of compassion.
Yes,
Okay.
well, it's
There's no
important.
room for that in this basement.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
it's like-
Just
There's
kidding.
actually been many times I've been at estate sales, and I look through the stuff, and I'm buying people's photos, and I'm like, it affects you, because you see a whole snapshot of that life.
Well, things carry
And-
kind of energy, and like people.
And there's a
like,
sadness that
And it makes
nobody
you wish
wants
you,
it.
it makes
Like-
you wish that you met them when they were alive, and that you
Right.
could show them that you cared about what they did.
Or that their grandkid would cherish that and
Yeah.
care about that. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
you know,
there's-
it's interesting because like a lot of people would be like, oh, well, like I thought that my granddaughter or my grandchildren want this item, and they
Right.
don't, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you end up with like a lot of people's things, and and also like grief and death and everything. Like some people really get stuck in it, and they end up becoming like I've cleared out basements that are complete hoarder basements, because people just cannot bring themselves to do that kind of clean out. And so the work becomes really important. Not only are you like revitalizing and not supporting like fast fashion and like the pollution of like clothing, but you're also giving like a service to people in terms of like their, handling of their
you're
like
definitely
passing on items.
you're definitely
and things.
helping the carbon footprint, but you're also helping with therapy as well as
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a
being
really
a
important role.
person to help them along. Yep.
We're going to get Starlotte on Al Grego's podcast, but we're also going to get Starlotte on Life's Undertaking
Oh.
with Brad Jones to
Oh my
talk
God.
about
I love
this.
this
Like,
stuff.
I will bring it up with him at 5 o'clock. Yeah.
Tell me all.
We're gonna-
I like talking apparently.
Amazing.
You're a good talker. It's
You
about
are.
time we get a good talker in
You're a
this
natural.
basement. But I'm going to catch up on the live stream. So you have been on live.torontomike.com for the past 90 minutes. It's been amazing. I look at the
Yeah,
clock.
we've been
and-
chatting for a while now.
Yeah, it says 12:36. So I want to say shout out to Mark Weisblatt. Okay. Matt the Golem writes, vintage burlesque includes Rummy Bishop as host MC at Starvin' Marvin's, late 60s, early 70s. People would heckle him just to get him to fire zingers back at them. So shout out to Rummy Bishop.
Oh,
I've
there's
just
so
learned
many I
another
didn't
new
mention.
thing. Yeah, I mean, there's so many people.
I'm glad that Andy is playing the role of the official fact checker of the Toronto Mike podcast here.
Are we doing a good job?
I never do a great job. I do my best. But Andy, I said Gwen Jacobs. There's no S. It is Gwen Jacob who took off her shirt we ended up getting the laws changed where women can be topless in public in the city. So I regret the error, Gwen Jacob. Also, I struggled, and you know this because it was in real time. I couldn't remember the name Chet. I just remembered that Tom Hanks had a son who was a Chet. and I couldn't remember. His name was actually Chet, but of course we eventually got there. Canada Kev wants to know if you, Starlotte, have ever done a gig at a fiercely independent brewery. And that's a reference to Great Lakes Brewery, which is how was your beer, by the way? I know
Amazing.
Hope we gave you time to drink it, but you are bringing some home with you.
Mm-hmm.
Canada Kev would love to see you do a gig at TMLX in late June, the last Thursday of June.
That. If I'm not on
You'll
tour,
probably be in Europe in that world tour. But the last Thursday, you got to check that schedule. The last Thursday of June at Great Lakes Brewery.
I would love that.
We would love to see you there.
I love
Canada Kev would love to see you there.
Collaborating with beer companies and stuff. I've done that a few times actually.
So Mike invites all the listeners to come and see a live podcast, and then he also has like free food there, free beer, and sometimes entertainment, right?
Well, you're the entertainment, Starlotte, so
that's my specialty.
Or just come and hang.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be amazing.
Make sure you got some of that rug tape. Or
yeah, the carpet tape.
The carpet tape.
I'm gonna have you provide it. No, just kidding.
Mike, not me, another Mike says, Tobias Vaughn Mike says that he's excited Don Pyle is back in the calendar. And yes, because Don Pyle is publishing a book. So I'm gonna read the book and we're gonna get into it. So that is in the calendar. Can't wait to talk to Don Pyle again. I'm actually in the market for a new barber, because my barber moved to the Maritimes. Maybe Don Pyle should be my hairdresser. What's the word I'm looking for? Barber.
Yes, barber. Yes.
Hairdresser sounds fancy.
Don't say that to Andy, because Andy will come after you.
Oh, Andy's already in New Brunswick, I think. Okay, and Canada Kev wants to know if you're busy the night of the Elmo gig, and that is a nice opportunity for me to remind the listenership and to tell you, Starlotte, I am going to be at the Elmo Combo on May 21st.
Wow. What are you, you're doing a show?
What are you doing at the Elmo? Great
me.
question. Somebody asked me that the other day. I struggled. Well, I am crafting a one-man show, and I will have on stage with me Rob Bruce on his keyboards, and there will be some musical elements, but I'm going to perform. I'm not going to sing, even though I've now released my first single.
I heard it
yesterday. Not critically acclaimed. Yes, you got it.
They're amazing. The Elmo Combo is amazing.
Starlight.
Amazing.
See how it works? Okay.
Yeah. Starlight room. It's my room. No, I'm kidding.
Well,
it's not.
You're of course. So if people go to torontomike.com and click Elmo gig at the top, they can buy a ticket or two and check it out. That is again May 21st at the Elmo Combo.
Do it. The Elmo's amazing.
Kev recommends I hook you up with Ridley Funeral Home. Great minds think alike, and fools seldom differ. That's how the rest of that goes. No one ever drops the rest of that thing. Okay. And Canada Kev hypothesizes that when I said Gwen Jacobs, I was probably thinking of Jane Jacobs.
Oh, yeah, the historic.
I don't think Jane Jacobs, though, ever went topless in this city.
No, I don't think she did.
But yeah, Gwen Jacob is the woman I was thinking of. This is the 90s, I think, as I recall. But okay, amazing. So mop-up time. So you're very busy, Starlotte. But people should follow you on social media.
Yeah, that's where you find all of the shows I have coming up or all the things that I'm up to. So
I'm just so happy she was able to make it to this.
We were planning this while cool. I was in the trenches.
You made this happen, and you even picked her up.
Yes. I mean that she chauffeured me here. Very spoiled.
Picked her up in the way that you pick her up in a car.
I didn't have to take an Uber.
Yeah,
so
no,
nice.
It'd be a little tricky to get out here. So I was like, well, I'm going right by there. I'll come get you.
So we're gonna take a photo by Toronto Tree.
Okay.
And I got beer for you and lasagna,
I'm
going to take care of you as well, Jeremy Hopkin, because
thank you, sir.
You'll be back.
I didn't think I was coming home with all this great stuff. Seriously, I'm going to get
J-Ho
a lot of
undersold this then.
Nice.
But that's, you know what?
The lasagna is amazing too.
I can't wait. I love
incredible.
lasagna.
I like what you did there, J-Ho, because you don't want somebody to come just for the swag, right? You want them to come for the spirit. So you can't say, hey, come for some lasagna. And they're here for the lasagna.
Nice, but I was here for the spirit of it.
No, I get it. I get it here. One last little silly question, and then if J-Ho has anything to take us home. But
I think I pretty much drained the swamp, but there's so much more history to dive into. And get out there, see some shows, and see Starlotte shows. They're amazing.
Happening and
if you get a chance,
looking for vintage glamour, that's like where we specialize in nostalgia from all different eras. So.
Oh, and Starlotte's got a big sale coming up. I saw.
Oh, that's not big. It's just me trying to clear out my house.
Okay, well, she's trying to clear out, so help her out.
I have too much stuff.
My last question is the relationship between burlesque dancers like yourself and tattoos. Okay, so I see you have ink, and I would just imagine, like, historically,
not very much, but
not much, but you have ink. But historically, I'm going to guess burlesque dancers didn't have ink because it was just guys in jail and Navy officers back in the day.
There were sideshow performers that kind of specialized in some of that sometimes. So I'm sure that it kind of did exist. But it does seem to go hand in hand for some reason.
And even some burlesque brings some sideshow in there too. Like your show even.
Well,
that was
I
like
did have a lot of sideshow.
Pickles?
Sure. Pickles.
Oh my God.
I
I wasn't
know.
expecting that.
There was some needle play involved and some nails and hammers.
Yeah,
and,
that was very cool though.
yeah. But I think that innately burlesque and tattoos come in because of the fact that like it is a bit of a rebellious career form and art form. So I think that, that kind of, it makes sense that a lot of tattooed girls are burlesque performers or vice versa. A lot of burlesque performers have tattoos because it's us in our nature. We are all a little rebellious, and I think tattoos are one of those things too.
I also heard it's a safety thing recently. Somebody said that.
Oh, it's like harder to identify you or it's easier to identify you with tattoos. So a lot of people who want to kidnap you don't want to take you.
Yeah,
home.
so you're safer if you have tattoos.
Yeah,
I
there's that.
never thought about that before.
Thankfully, in the burlesque
That's a
world,
terrible thought that we need to resort to
Unfortunately,
brand
the reality.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's terrible, but interesting.
yeah, that is a thing.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Any chance you'd ever return to Sudbury?
not to live there, no. But I do go back all the time. I go back to visit to do the Sudbury Burlesque shows. We do 2 big shows a year usually. The Halloween one, which is Monsters Ball, we've been doing, and there's usually one in the spring or around Valentine's Day. So I usually go back for that all the time.
You're a busy woman. I'm honored you carved out some time to chat with us.
I'm so thankful that I got to be
So
here.
thank
This was
you.
so
Thank you so
fun.
much.
You're now in FOTM. And Jeremy, thanks for making this happen.
Hey, no problem. I'm just so
You
glad
get 4
everything
episodes
worked.
you get 4 episodes a year, and
Yes.
remember this is the Q1 episode, so that means we're gonna get together again before the next TMLX event in
to
late
step
June.
up my game before then and make another show.
We'll keep delivering like this,
No
and you'll end up in the FOTM Hall of Fame.
Oh, I hope so. Amazing.
And that
To say it once again.
brings us to the end of our 1,876th show. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs, and you can buy a gig to see me at the Elma Combo on May 21st. Believe it or not, that's happening. It's only going to happen once. Much love to all who made this possible. Again, that's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, Nick Ieni's, RecycleMyElectronics.ca, and Ridley Funeral Home. We're recording at 5 p.m. But first, I'm going to be back in an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to get rid of these 2, wolf down some food, and then I'm going to record a 2-hour episode with Ed Keenan. Yeah.
We're going to stick around and
Ed
heckle
Keenan.
Ed.
Ed Keenan's here for his quarterly. It was supposed to be last week, but he messed up. We'll talk about that, and we'll see what's going on in the world. So see you all again in 75 minutes or so. Peace and love.